Be sure to purchase your copy of Turning Tiny, being released on August 5th, 2016, featuring the stories of 60 plus tiny house luminaries. Visit www.turningtiny.com for more information. And stay tuned for information about the Florida Tiny House Festival, happening in St. Augustine, Florida in November.
Back in late 2009, early 2010, we started building our first tiny house on wheels. Now, at the time, we didn't know much about how to build one or what we were going to use to build one. In fact, there were relatively few resources online at the time, a whole lot, well, completely different from the way it is now. We were really just flying by the seat of our pants. We knew that we wanted to use materials that we had seen before, that we had touched, that we had interacted with. And so we ended up going to a number of different hardware stores, things like that, and really just testing out some of the products that they had. One product we came across was LP SmartSide. We were instantly taken by the product. We liked the way it looked. We liked the price point. We liked the texture. We liked the fact that it was already primed, so it was going to cut down on overall expense in terms of installation and then painting. So we ended up going with that. As we continued to move through the process and we discovered more about LP SmartSide, we found out that they offered a number of different materials to help build our tiny house. Fast forward several years, 3, 4, almost 4 years, and what we've done is we've actually constructed kind of a small homestead of LP buildings. Our chicken coop is built out of LP materials. We had a shower shack with our first tiny house that was LP materials. I built an office, a small office outside of the house that was LP materials. And now our latest project, which is this barn that I'm standing next to, or outbuilding or shed or whatever you want to call it, built with LP materials. It actually was an older barn. Kind of the bones were still good, in good shape, but it was sitting way over there, so we needed to move it over here and restructure the whole thing, including adding a very large lean-to that we enclosed. So we turned, of course, to LP SmartSide to do so. And if you keep watching, you'll see the process from start to finish using LP SmartSide materials. All right, so here we are. We're at the build site, and the truck with the LP materials is right behind me. We're pretty excited because we got them in really early this morning, so we're going to have a full day's worth of work. So I'm just going to go back here and help so we can see what we got.
The barn project started out with an older barn that basically had good bones, but it definitely needed some attention. We started out by deconstructing it, taking apart everything we could, salvaging any wood and any other materials that we possibly could. Of course, during that process, the new materials arrived from LP SmartSide. We received several different kinds of materials, including our SmartSide panel, the trim and fascia, and soffit. Before we could reconstruct anything, though, we had to set our foundation for the new barn. In order to do that, we used a transom level to make sure that all of our corners, as well as our sides, which we decided to do on cinder blocks, would be perfectly level. During deconstruction of the old barn, we did leave the walls up and attached, so in order to move those, we had to cut them, and then we had to physically carry them over to the new build spot. That, of course, left us with just the old foundation, which we knew we weren't going to use most of, but we found that we could use some of. So we also carried that over to the new build spot.
Okay, so we're finally going to get started today. We've had a little bit of a setback, probably 3 days of rain, even some hail yesterday, and so basically the old barn has just been sitting here waiting for us. So we're going to start today, of course, with our subfloor, and then we're going to move on to our walls. We're thinking the best strategy is to go ahead and put our siding on the walls first and then raise the walls. But we'll see how that goes as we get closer to it. But we've got quite a few hours left before us, so we're going to go ahead and get started right now, starting with the subfloor.
The subflooring we chose is the LP Top Notch 350 series, and the primary reason we did so was because it features a self-spacing tongue and groove system that makes it super simple to put together. You just measure, cut, put in place, nail down. Our subfloor was down, it was time to go ahead and put the walls together down on the ground and then raise them up. We chose to use LP SmartSide for this because we had used it in so many projects before and really liked the results. Now, putting on LP SmartSide is pretty easy because what we chose comes in panels. Now, those panels have a shiplap edge, so all you really do is make sure that your first panel is level. You put that up, or in our case, you put it down on your framing, 16-inch on center. Then you take your second piece, set it on top so that the shiplap lines up, overlaps, and then you nail that in place and keep going until all your walls are up.
We're about to get our roof up, which we're going to use the Tech Shield on. And we've got our subfloor down, so it's an exciting project. The weather's holding out, everything's looking good, so stay with us. We're going to keep building this thing and show you more just a little bit from now. Good morning, day 3 of the barn build. Day 3 because day 1 was actually just kind of a combination of several days of taking the old barn apart. Yesterday we really got building on the new barn. We got all the framing up and the skin around it, and we got the rafters. And so this morning we're going to start with the sheathing for the roof. Now, as you can see, we're using LP Tech Shield. This is a very cool product. It's one I like. It's an OSB product, but we put the Tech Shield down, and what that does is it eliminates 97% of the ambient heat going into the barn from the sky. And you know what? If you want to see a video about how that works, you can check it out right here. Or you can just watch our build as we put this thing together and really get day 3 rolling. So we'll see you in a bit.
Installing the Tech Shield is nothing more than lining up your pieces, dropping them down onto your ceiling joists, and nailing them in.
Okay, so as you can see, we've gotten the sheathing done now, and we're ready to put on our Ondavia shingles. But in the meantime, we're working on our lean-tos because we are going to make a lean-to on the side and a lean-to on the back. So we've got our posts plumb and level, and we're about to put the header on and go ahead and tie that into the roof line before we do anything with our shingles. So we've still got quite a bit of work left to do, but again, the sun is still out and it's going really well, and we're proud of what we've gotten so far. So stay with us, we're going to keep coming back to you. All right, here we are, day 4, and it seems like a lot, but it's really not because we're getting a lot done. Yesterday we were able to shore up all of our columns for the lean-to areas, both the back and the side. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our joists. They're going to come off, we're going to do a little hip on the roof and come off and have a little overhang over that side. Then we're going to put our sheathing on, and then go ahead and put our LP SmartSide around the perimeter, because our stall here, our lean-to, is going to be enclosed. So we've got another full day ahead of us, but the weather is beautiful. We've got our materials ready to go, so stick with us and we'll see what today brings.
Even though we salvaged a lot of wood from the old barn, we still had to purchase 2x6s to complete the framing for the lean-to. Once we had put up the framework, we were able to install the sheathing and then go ahead and enclose the entire stall area. Follow that up with a good coat of exterior barn paint, and we were ready to put the Ondavia shingles on. Three and a half days of deconstruction, 5 days of construction, but the barn is complete, the stall looks great, the lean-to's perfect, and as always, LP performed well again. We're excited about what we have, and we look forward to using it for a lot of years to come.